Hello, everybody. It's the Historical Gamer once again, and thank you once again for tuning in for yet another episode of my Grand Tactician, the Civil War series. We are returning to our Confederate Let's Play series, where we are playing as the Confederacy in the 1863 campaign, which just came out with one of the more recent patches. I know the game just came out on Steam, actually, today in early access. And so it is available to everybody else now if you are interested in picking it up. It's $39.99 on Steam. It is pretty rough still, so it is definitely in early access. And I've even seen the developer be like, hey, listen, if you want to be part of helping make this game better, if you want to be part of bug fixes, if you want to be part of, providing your insight on what's working, what's not, those kind of things, then definitely purchase and participate. But if this is something that you're looking for a polished product at this time, the game isn't there yet. And so the developer has shared a developer diary or a development schedule or an early access schedule on what they're planning on working on in what order, but just, worth calling that out. Now, this is a game that mixes real-time combat resolution with grand strategy. So, obviously you can see here, you've probably already been aware of this because we've been playing this for a couple of episodes now if you've been following the channel. But if you're new, you can zoom all the way out and you can see, an entire map of the U.S., or you can zoom in and you can see individual theaters, individual campaigns ongoing, and then when armies meet, you fight tactical battles. Now, with regards to this particular campaign, we have fought a couple of battles already. We had a minor engagement against the Army of Tennessee under Rosecrans with Polk's lead corps of the Army of Tennessee the Army of the Cumberland under Rosecrans, fought the lead element of the Army of the Tennessee. It was just Polk's corps. Now I'm moving Hardee's corps up to support Polk. Van Dorn's cavalry corps should be within reach as well, so we're going to move him forward also. And so the Army of Tennessee is going to try and concentrate in and around here to engage the lead elements of the Army of the Cumberland in a battle. Additionally, I am bringing 15,000 men of the Army of Eastern Tennessee west to join up with Wheeler's cavalry corps, which I think is also part of the Army of Tennessee, and we will bring them down. If the Union marches south to engage the Army of Tennessee, we'll move these 23,000 men, 8,000 cavalry, 15,000 infantry into their flank and see if we can't pick off an isolated corps. That does open up the Cumberland Gap to a federal advance, but we don't see any federal corps closer than northern Kentucky. So I think we have a little bit of time before Knoxville is exposed or at risk or anything like that. That's the situation there. We've also fought a recent battle south of Vicksburg with the Army of Eastern Louisiana, fighting against some 80,000 Federals. They only had about 5,000 Confederates. We're raising 2 or 3 more brigades that are going to join the Army of Eastern Louisiana, but for the moment they only have 3,300 soldiers left of 5,000. That said, those 5,000 did inflict more than double their own losses on Grant, and so hopefully that'll at least slow Grant's advance. It is May 12th of 1863, so Grant has landed south of Vicksburg. He's already made the run past the batteries there, and you can see his army is swinging north up toward Jackson. In Jackson, we basically consolidated the entire Army of Mississippi. We replaced Pemberton with Joseph E. Johnston, who was commanding a detachment of about 7,000 men at Jackson, and we've consolidated this force into about 36,000 men, of whom we are trying to march south and engage the lead elements of Grant's force. I'm not sure we can pick off one isolated corps, but I think the way they're currently strung out, we can probably engage 2 of them, and that'll give us better odds to delaying the federal advance. Those are the main pieces, in addition to basically launching the historical Gettysburg campaign. I'm probably still a little bit too strung out. I need to consolidate a little bit, but we've got Ewell's 2nd Corps and we've got Stuart's Cavalry Division moving up the valley. We've got Longstreet's 1st Corps in tow, and then Hill's Corps is beginning to move as well to try and get the some 80,000 or so Confederate soldiers up the valley, and then threatening the federal flank up here in northern Virginia and perhaps driving into Union territory. While we've been doing that, we have noticed that the Union have moved the 7th Corps of about 24,000 troops onto a peninsula here in Virginia, which could threaten Richmond if they move west and then south. They could also just be reinforcing the Army of the Potomac. In any event, I have decided to raise a couple of new units here in Richmond. We only have about 4,600 men currently covering the city as the Army of Northern Virginia moves away. So I am raising Helm and Evans Brigade, another 6,000 men. These are all volunteers, so they should show up in Richmond in a day or two, and then that'll bring our covering force at Richmond up to 10,000 men, better able to hold that city, I think, in defensive terrain. Likewise, we've got the Department of North Carolina with D.H. Hill's 11,000 men that are kind of guarding against Peck's command, which currently looks like it's on board transports, but about 20,000 additional men. So we're guarding the southern approaches to Richmond and Petersburg with those 11,000 men. Now, before we get going here, there was one major development that I did want to call out, and that is federal troops on the coast of North Carolina are moving into the interior, as far as we can tell, in North Carolina, and threatening our position in North Carolina. So it looks like there's a incursion here of about 15,000 men marching deep into the hinterland of North Carolina. They've already cut this railroad bridge, which is a vital railroad supply line north to Richmond. That basically cuts the entire railroad line south toward Wilmington, toward Columbia, and requires any railroad that is trying to get up to Richmond from the deep south to move west of Raleigh, or if they want to move sort of along the eastern coast, then they have to move through Raleigh and then north, and then they kind of link up there. So these bridges falling to the Union is a big deal. It could have big impacts on our economy, which in this game you don't directly manage, but the economy does occur in the background, and based on what happens to bridges, what happens to production, or whatever, it can have serious implications for your ability to wage the war. So to that end, I've raised a new army. It's a new army that's being called Witten's Army, although it's going to be commanded by Jones, Major General David Jones. It is going to have 4 infantry brigades, so about 12,000 troops. They're all volunteers from North Carolina and South Carolina. And then we have 1 artillery battery. I intend to raise a 2nd artillery battery, but it looks like it's going to take them about 5 days to get into position. Once they do arrive, we'll have about 12,000 infantry and some artillery to deal with this federal incursion of roughly 15,000 men, which I think that should be enough for us to be able to deal with them. Beyond that, I am also going to try and crush the Federal 10th Corps, which might actually be on transports, so I may not be able to do anything with it. But you can see there's a Federal Corps of about 7,000 men just south of Charleston Harbor, and so I've ordered is it Major or Lieutenant General? Or 4-star general, I guess, PGT Beauregard, to head south here to deal with the 10th Corps and see if he can't crush them. There's only about 7,000 Yankees, according to our intelligence, which could be wrong. So I'm going to bring, I think he has about 8,000 troops with him right now, south to try and crush these guys. We could also bring about 4,000 more men of the District of Columbia force under Hugh Mercer to join him as well. That would bring the total force, which is already under Beauregard, up to about 12,000 men that would be able to attack there. And that's kind of the situation right now. That's what we're dealing with in May of 1862, and we'll see what happens next. I'm guessing the next major engagement will be with Rosecrans up here in southern Tennessee, just because that's where the armies are in closest contact at the moment. But the game's currently paused. Let's go ahead and unpause it here in just a second. I'll just take a real quick look at the chat, and then we'll get going. One thing I will call out also is, the policies screen over here, you can see we have all 7 policies selected right now. I don't know if you can actually get more policies. There might be a policy for that, but I can get new policies based on where there's a magnifying glass. You can transfer or have progress from one policy to the next in areas like I've got 7 policies, but I can choose free trade if I want because it's got this little magnifying glass here, and that's because we'd basically just be taking the military 1 policy and shifting that used slot over to free trade. Since we've already advanced further down the military 1 track, you can see we're all the way down to military 2. We can free this policy up and move this policy over here. Likewise, the Conscription Act number 1 is already done, which means we can basically just pass Conscription Act 1 down to Conscription Act 2, which would allow us to draft more soldiers and things like that. So that's the situation there. I'm not really doing a lot with the policies or whatnot at the moment, but that's just I'm trying to fight the spring-summer campaign of '63. The economic management is going to be dicey. You can see here we've got huge amounts of expenses, 72,000 negative in terms of total expenses versus revenue. So that's quite a lot, or 72,000, is that, yeah, 72,000 million, so 72 million negative. So, the economy is auto-managed right now, or finances are auto-managed right now. We've got tariffs at 20%, sales tax at 9.9%, no income or corporate tax. I don't know if you can pass that as the Confederacy. I'd have to look into that. But let's go ahead and unpause and see what battle we get to fight first with all of these campaigns and operations already in underway. We've got an engagement here. The Army of the Cumberland is engaged with Polk's Corps, which just fought a battle recently. I think what I'd actually like to do is I'd like to withdraw just to try and get our other units in closer contact, because they're not moving toward it yet. You can see there's a time where their orders are going to begin to be carried out, and at the moment it says it's still 9 more minutes before Hardee will start moving, 3 more hours before Van Dorn will start moving. So I think we're better off if we just withdraw for now and see what happens. Meanwhile, there's also apparently another engagement with the Army of Eastern Tennessee, or Eastern Louisiana. No. I don't want to engage 35,000 men under Grant with 3,300 of my own troops, so you guys are just going to outright retreat. Meanwhile, the Army of Mississippi under Johnston is working on beginning its movements. You can see their supply situation isn't great, 42, 41%. Johnston himself, his unit says 0% supplies. I'm not always clear, although some of the supplies are going up for Pemberton's Corps by the look of it. Sometimes I wonder if supplies are abstracted to the point where they're very difficult to follow because there are no actual supply units in this game. And so I've seen the developer post saying like, oh yeah, you just need to make sure that your troops are on like railways or natural highways, if you will. But maybe it's just because he's a headquarter unit. I'm not sure. But it does seem like sometimes that doesn't always mesh very well. But again, early access, so. Apparently there's also federal troops in Corinth, Mississippi. There's a corps here, which I don't have anything covering that corps. All right, so we're going to move Hardee's Corps, which is fresh, this way. Polk, who's withdrawing, we're going to stop his withdrawal. Oh, no, I want you to just stop. It's going to take you an hour and 40 minutes to stop? Well, you're going to run right into that rebel or that Yankee formation before then. At least bring Van Dorn's 3,600 cavalry up to support you. They're going to take 6 hours to get going, though. Okay, so Polk stopped just out of reach of the reserve corps there. Meanwhile, you can see the Army of Eastern Tennessee is still moving here through this wooded, or I guess really poor roadway and pass area. 9 more hours for Hardee to get going. Forrest, I think we ordered to just stop there. He's guarding the flank or this railway further south. How's the Army of Northern Virginia going? Where the hell? Why is the Second Corps falling back? Or are they? I can't tell. Looks like they're going to march back and then march forward. Same's true of the cavalry force. Let's actually just order them to halt. Until... I think I may have ordered that because I was worried they were getting out a little bit too far ahead of Longstreet and the rest of the Army of Northern Virginia. But I'd rather they halt and just wait for Longstreet to come up. Looks like that corps that had been in front of Norfolk may have pulled back Peck's command looks like it is going ashore on the peninsula. Or no, they're going on transports. Maybe they're moving up to join the Army of the Potomac. That leads to a potential opportunity for D.H. Hill to move in and take Norfolk, however. So let's go see if we can't retake the naval yards at Norfolk. They could be trying to concentrate their forces, but if they want to do that, I'm okay with that. All right, that corps still moving in. I need a mini map so I can just click to where I want to go. All right, Hardy, you moving yet? Looks like Hardy is moving. You beg me to get rid of Polk. Isn't Polk the bishop? Why would we get rid of the bishop, sir? Sir, the bishop is fine. All right, Van Dorn's corps is moving. Oh. The Army of Tennessee is in contact with Jones' corps of the Army of Mississippi. So what would this be? Does it give me numbers? Oh shit, did they land behind the Army of Eastern Louisiana before it could withdraw? I think they may have landed a corps behind it. Jones's corps is a little bit out there on its own. It doesn't look like he has any support. I'm doing a really bad job of coordinating with the rest of my force here. I don't want to just engage lone corps. That was the problem I learned last time. Either that or the Army of Eastern Louisiana's somehow retreating through federal lines up toward Vicksburg, but I'd gladly take the extra 3,000 troops. All right, so what I need Pemberton's corps to come and move south against the 13th Corps here. And then we need Jones's corps to assist with that. So we can have both corps, some 36,000 men, the bulk of the Army of Mississippi, to move there. Meanwhile, the Army of Eastern Louisiana, at least in theory, will provide a little bit of a shield in front of Vicksburg, which we pulled all but 2,000 troops out of. Additionally, I am going to move Cooper's army south, I guess, his 2,000 men, to join the 36,000 under Johnston. Jones is about 20,000 men, but there's no telling whether this federal corps here, it likely would have been in contact with corps on either flank, which could have meant 20,000 versus 80,000 or something like that. All right, so Cooper's moving. Pemberton, where are you going? All right, so the Reserve Corps is in contact with Hardee's Corps, but it also looks like Polk and Van Dorn should be in reach as well. I wish it gave me like a number to say what the odds were of the battle. So let's go ahead and have Hardee's Corps, which I assume also will include Van Dorn and Polk, given their proximity. Although I'm not sure the Union bubble doesn't extend to our units, but our bubble extends to our units. So let's fight this battle and let's see what happens here. Loading. Let's hope my maneuvering worked out to our advantage this time. So the Union Army fields about 30,000 men under Major General Granger. The Confederates field about 39,000 men under General Hardee. So I guess Bragg is not on the field. It's the bulk of the Army of Tennessee, but Bragg is too far back to be participating. So maybe that's good. All right, our army will vigorously attack. Okay. Let's so we're fighting the Battle of Murfreesboro on the field of Murfreesboro, which is where we fought our last battle with these guys. Okay, so let's deploy. We've got Hardee's or Polk's Who is here? Bragg is here. Damn it. Damn you, Bragg. I hoped you weren't here. Is it just Hardy's corps on the field right now? Why is that? Do we have to wait for the other corps to show up? All right. In that case, we're going to want to... Oh, sorry. Just kicked my new joystick under my desk. Or my new throttle. So we're going with Hardy again. It wasn't Polk last time. It was Hardy. So we've got Claiborne and we've got Breckinridge's divisions deployed here. I don't have any other troops here yet. I'm imagining reinforcements will be on the way. So what I don't there's something called engineer points, which I don't know how they work. I'd have to look at the manual to see if it explains that yet. Obviously I'm assuming it means I can dig my troops in a bit, but let's move Claiborne over here. So I know you guys just fought, like, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? I think the troops we're fighting are the same ones we just fought, though. Okay, we'll deploy them here. And then Clayton's Senior's Corps will link the two divisions. All right, so I'm going to move this guy forward. I'm going to move Claiborne's division up to the R&R depot along what looks like a ridge line here that we can probably base our troops on. What? Victory? Your army is victorious? The Federals withdrew? Is that a glitch? Okay. So the Federals withdrew before we even fought. It looks like there was only 5,000 Federal troops in position here. I guess I'll take a victory, but it's weird that it would load the battle like that before the AI made the decision to withdraw. Either way, it's very clear that the historical gamer is a brilliant tactician. Just by his mere deployment of Claiborne's division on those heights, the Yankees decided they had had enough. By the way, 18 minutes ago, corrupt driver, thank you very much for your corrupted driver. Thank you very much for the follow. It's a Confederate major victory. By the way, these casualties seem to not be... How did they lose 1,900 men? We didn't shoot anybody. How did we lose 1,800 men? We didn't shoot anybody. I don't know. But I'll take a victory. They dropped in fear. Yeah, that was probably the wounded I started with, right? So they're disabled. Their troops were too disabled. Again, I think the game needs to make a better decision to have the enemy withdraw before deployment. But in any event, you know, they declined battle. Smallpox. We hit them with the smallpox. You know, maybe this is actually just a propaganda victory. Maybe we just wrote to the newspapers and to Richmond to say that, you know, we won a glorious victory. All right, the Army of Tennessee is in contact with the Army of Eastern Louisiana. Nope, I want you to continue withdrawing. All right, so Jones, move this way. Pemberton is also moving. I don't know if like time of day influences the enemy units, like sitting down for dinner or whatever. Are they trying to flank us? Where's the Army of the Cumberland going? Come on, Bragg. Get your lazy butt forward. Polk, you too. Chase them. We're going to drive on Nashville, boys. No, where are you going? Where are you going? I didn't tell you to go that way. God damn it. It takes an hour to tell him to not go a way I didn't tell him to go. Meanwhile, the Army of Eastern Tennessee has arrived, so we're going to move them on the flank toward Nashville. I guess they're going to take that road right into the heart of the enemy army. All right, the Department of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida is in contact with the 10th Corps. What are your orders? Let's fight it. Let's fight another battle. The Battle of Port Royal, South Carolina. All right, so 12,000 Confederate troops versus 8,000 Federals. I think we got this, guys. As long as there's no, like, naval guns shooting at me. And as long as the enemy doesn't run away. Oh, this is cool. So there is a map for this battle? All right. But can I cross the river? How do I cross this gigantic... Oh, it's not a river. It's like a swamp. It says it's a river, but it's a tiny river, and then it's a swamp or something. I don't know. All right, where are the federal deployment positions? It's going to be down here. So let's deploy the entire army on this side of the river then. Let's deploy it in line, I think. And then we've got... Basically, it's just like one division under Beauregard? Beauregard? I always mispronounce his name. I mispronounce everything. You'll learn that as you watch this channel. It's not deliberate either. I just suck. All right, so let's get the men going. We probably should move them in column. But I can't give that order now, it doesn't look like. Huh. Okay, so they're going to move into column formation on their own. So good job being smart, my lads. And we'll move them down this roadway toward where I think the federal positions will be. Now, this should be easier to manage this battle because we only have one general officer, which means it's almost going to be treated like a division, where the division officer should always be largely in very close contact with his troops. So there shouldn't be a long delay between when I issue orders to the commander and when the troops start moving. Hey, Captain Flack, how you doing tonight? Hope you're having a good one. All right, so we're going to move south. Doesn't look like the Federals are withdrawing instantly anyway, so that's good for us. Maybe we can drive them out of South Carolina with a victory here today. That would be great for us. It would we could probably free up a couple thousand men, maybe 2 brigades or so, and send them north to join the Eastern Theater, or maybe send them to Vicksburg if they'd arrive in time. I don't know. But you can see we're marching south here on May 14th, 1863. Still no indication of where the Federals are, other than this little blue arrow, which indicates where their deployment or their supply lines flow through. Usually the AI will be programmed to try and move toward objective points in order to know how to take advantage of the battlefield map. But so far, they're not moving, as far as I can tell. We're moving at times 10 speed. We'll slow things down a little bit just to take a look at our glorious army on the march. You can see cavalry up front. The lads are marching along the roadway, using that terrain to their advantage. Got some guns limbered up. Hopefully they've got flankers and skirmishers out. I could issue a command that would probably result in the cavalry issuing a skirmisher screen. If I issue orders for the cavalry to scout, they will likely send out skirmishers based on what I've seen before. All right, so we know the Federals are over here by Jenny's Corner. So let's actually change these guys' order to scout. You can see they've dispatched some skirmishers out front. Move the cavalry down south here. And we've detected Federal troops. So at least one brigade. Again, you can see there should be skirmishers out. There's a detachment of troops out front. Or there was a second ago. Yeah, there is right here. Although it looks like they're marching in tandem. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and deploy these guys in the woods over here. We've got a 2nd brigade spotted. 3 Federal brigades coming up. So we'll send those skirmishers forward. The enemy is moving up, likely to try and take this objective. The enemy has shaken out some skirmishers. Troops are taking a little while to follow orders, but they're moving now. Meanwhile, the cavalry skirmishers are falling back under pressure. Our own troops are coming up. We'll need to adjust some of these formations. It looks like 2 of the brigades want to deploy in column, one of them in line. Maybe this is actually line 2, but they're refusing their flank. I think Howe's battery of artillery will be better off positioned in the clear over here. Might be able to fire into the enemy flank. Okay, so we've got 3 Federal brigades with some skirmishers out front that our cavalry has picked up. There might be a 4th brigade here. If they really have 8,000 men, it could be 4 brigades of 2,000. Ripley and is it Wallace? Walker. Ripley and Walker are coming up. Deploy this guy in line here. And then Ripley will refuse his line and take position along this roadway. It'll be interesting to see if the enemy tries to use the roadway to get around our line or if they just go straight at us. 10 times 10 speed, you're hearing it causes some issues? I mean, maybe. I generally only use it for minor stuff like marching when armies aren't in contact. All right, I want those batteries to form not in a column, but in a... Is the combat fluid? You mean like frames, Menth? Or do you mean in terms of like, is there maneuver combat and those kind of things? There's definitely maneuver. The enemy's coming forward at us through some woods. We're kind of more exposed in the open. We've got a little bit of a wood to our back. All right, so our batteries are deploying. Movement in response. It's a little bit. What do you call it? Jerky. Response seems reasonably good. I mean, you can see me clicking on stuff here and units moving around. Let's also have this cavalry units change their orders to cold steel. We're going to go ahead and have them dismount. And then we're going to have them advance on the enemy flank. So the engagement has begun. You can hear our troops firing off a volley. It looks like the enemy's still coming at us in column formation. Are they madmen? All right, so we've got 2 brigades in the action now. They're forming into line. They're bringing another brigade up to the north. So we're going to bring this cavalry down here to try and hit them in the flank. We've got 2 brigades moving to the north of that line. Looks like the 1st brigade had some skirmishers out, which have since been recalled. And I don't know if they're retreating here, but they just faced around. I know that there have been some reports of some facing issues. But let's see if we can't flank these guys. I'm trying to adjust. All right, let's bring this brigade forward here. Agag's command. This is the advantage of a small battle here, because our commander is in such close reach that we can issue our commands almost instantaneously. All right, we'll bring Ripley's command around. Our artillery is firing into the enemy. Cavalry is out here. We've got the South Carolina Cavalry dismounted and engaging. We've already lost 138 men in that brigade. Jeez. Meanwhile, the Federal 1st Brigade's taking the brunt of 2 brigades of soldiers here firing into them. Yeah, there's no need for skirmish or for couriers, by the way. It doesn't seem before issues or orders are issued. Now, it will look probably like ramrods are moving really quick and things like that. That's in part because the way we are currently playing in time compression, it's going to do some interesting things probably to animations. I don't know why these guys aren't firing. I think they've got a clear line of sight with no one in front of them. I suppose Ripley's brigade could be on their flank. All right, so we've routed the 1st Brigade. So I think the enemy is in serious trouble at this point. Let's rout the whole damn army. The cavalry's... Oh! Major victory. They already... How did they withdraw from that situation? I wanted to do more damage. We lost 3 infantry. We did lose 212 cavalry. The enemy lost 750 infantry, 10% of their force. It would have been nice to be able to press that battle home a bit. I don't know how they could have extricated themselves from that situation. I'm assuming prisoners is a thing. I think I've seen it on combat reports, Alt Foreign, but I'm not sure if it's in the game yet, because I haven't seen units surrendering yet. That seemed weird. I don't think they should have been able to withdraw there. They were almost surrounded. They were getting hit on 2 flanks. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's just... I think when the AI gets to certain thresholds, they're probably programmed to withdraw. They may not have checks against when they're actually able to withdraw. Damn straight, Super Chacho. We're going to drive them invaders from our lands. Maybe. I think there was some general complaints early on when the game first came in that armies would just sit and fight to their death and wouldn't intelligently withdraw, so maybe that was an overcompensation of effects of a previous bug. Yeah, or maybe if they do make the decision there, they should lose extra men in terms of, like, during the retreat. They should lose men that maybe we don't have to fight the pursuit phase, but it's simulated or something like that. There is a withdrawal rule when I've withdrawn my own command where I've had to pull troops back and have them march to the edge of the map. I think. I'm trying to remember. Maybe not. All right, everybody. Unfortunately, at this point, the game develops a bug that ends up causing a whole bunch of notifications to show up as soon as we get out of this battle. And then apparently the Confederacy surrenders. And I went out to reload the save and came back in, and the same problem occurred. So this save is corrupted. I can't continue the campaign. You know, I know the game is obviously still in early access, and it's still, the developer is very honest that, you know, there's a long way to go with it, and I totally respect that, but I'm probably going to stop playing these campaigns until things get ironed out a little bit better, just because I don't think it's something that any of you are you know, I don't see the point of starting a campaign, running 3 or 4 missions or battles or days, and then having the campaign end on me. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to focus on some more of the tactical battles, which we haven't played yet, which I also think are very interesting. And then we will return to the campaign, hopefully not too long from now, maybe a week or so, or 2 weeks. I know they're planning on having a new patch come out pretty soon, so hopefully that works on the campaign. I'll talk to the developer and see if the, you know, the things in the new patch are campaign specific. I know he already posted some of what's going to be there. And then I'll probably also just run some tests of my own, just sort of speed through some days for some battles offline. And once it seems like things are getting a little bit more stable, again, hopefully not too long from now, we'll start another campaign and go from there. But this will conclude our Confederate campaign because it has to. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts, and if that's something you're interested in seeing more of the tactical battles. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.